GM, everybody. This is Hefe with GM with GMI. Welcome, everybody. We got our friends joining us here in the GMI Discord, Sound of the Ghost. Got my Callum, I think T-Bird's in the house. Welcome, everybody.
What's going on, partner?
And we're trying something a little bit new this morning with a different kind of audio setup. I'm messing around with the restream and let's see if we can figure something a little bit different out here for audio, so we can hear all our friends in the studio. How are you guys listening in right now on Twitch, and how does this sound to you right now?
Yeah, I'm just listening to the dual audio streams. So far, it sounds good. Right now, what I'm going to do is listen back to my spoken part here and make sure that's coming through clearly.
Yeah, I think this should be. It should be.
Sounds good, Hefe.
Yeah, it should be sounding good. It just the only trade-off here is the delay from the voice you're hearing right now to the movements on my mouth. But pay attention to that if you want, I guess.
Delay check.
What's that? What were you saying?
That was me just saying delay check out and seeing how long until I hear it back on the loop back. So it's sounds like about 10 seconds, about 8 to 10 seconds of delay between the time I speak the word and I hear it coming back through your Twitch stream.
Yeah. So I mean, the delay is definitely significant, but as long as the audio sounds good, us talking sounds good, I think it should be okay.
Oh yeah, it's definitely synchronized. Conversations put together at least. The individuals that are conversing are in real time. There's just a slight delay between us right here, right now, and when it's broadcasting on the Twitch, but it's coming through the Discord and it's coming through your mic and it sounds clear. And that is the goal, and you have achieved the goal. Well done, man.
Yeah, we can always iterate on this, and I was looking at Black Hole, Loopback, Zombie Shepherd. He knows his way around those things. So, yeah, this morning. So what do we have this morning? What's on our agenda? I'm just hanging out here in the. Well, we're hanging out here in the Aavegotchi homepage. There's 2 players in the arena. There's the Gotchiverse.
I'll tell you what, man. You got me really fired up and bullish yesterday on AI. Like, it's been something that we've all been paying attention to. It's been something we're all aware of. I think we're lucky here in crypto because we just happened to be exposed to it pretty early. It was used within the crypto space pretty early on. It was very innovative models. And so because of that, we've also had some exposure to it. But I think that for me, I was feeling a little bit almost jaded on it to the point where I was like, I haven't really dug into it deeply myself. I know the people that are using it. I know it's going to be useful. Here it comes. And last night, or actually even yesterday after GM with GMI, listening to you, was the first time I was like, okay, man, like talking to in my own head, talking to myself, it's like I need to go figure this shit out. We have a very small window here where those that understand will be able to provide service essentially to those that do not.
Yes.
And one day those days are going to be over. And this is going to be a lot like the tech squad or any of these positions that get paid to teach people how to use email.
Yeah.
We're going to be those people for at least a little while.
Mm-hmm.
And so it really inspired me to get involved. So I did some experimentation with ChatGPT-4 yesterday on OpenAI's website, as well as some of the AI bots that you and I are putting inside these servers. And I was impressed, man. As soon as it took a change in my brain, right? As soon as I started thinking differently about how to use these tools, they became more impressive to me. Because once I had a real question that needed a real idea or a real solution, and they demonstrate that, you go, damn, okay, I could think of another million questions to ask you.
There's a sense of connection there. It's like, okay, you are actually smarter than I thought you were. You know,
you ain't kidding.
It's like maybe I do have a little bit more respect for these AI things now.
Exactly. Well, and it makes sense. I was explaining it to Smokescreens last night, and as I was explaining it, I became more bullish because, like Lightpick that was talking about that tool set that his friend or his brother-in-law was making, we talk about Robin AI and Spark. The idea that something could be given access to all of your social circumstance, so your social media accounts, your calendar, bank account, your GPS history, If you could give it all that stuff, it would find out who you are today. It would immediately know exactly who you are, what you've been up to, what's most likely the next step for you to take tomorrow, what meeting you schedule, who to talk to. It'll be obvious to it. It just needs to look at us, evaluate us in total, and it'll be like, T-Bird, you obviously need to get ready for this trip coming up on Friday, huh? I went ahead and ordered more ice, and we got the situation with this. You need to get the coolers packed. Here's your to-do list. Like, it makes sense that we're all about to end up in a position of being like allocated virtual assistants.
Yeah, and it's like co-pilots for your life. Like just talking.
Yeah,
So the other day, I was telling people how I'm learning this new instrument, the model cycles. It's a FM synthesizer drum machine.
modulator, nice man,
Yeah,
awesome.
it's sound design. You're designing sounds, which is really cool. And I wanted to know. I was in Notion. I was typing out my notes, cheat notes to get the patterns figured out and everything. And I just asked it. I'm like, I have a model cycles and I need a cheat sheet. Make me one. And it made me a complete cheat sheet for this thing with all the patterns and shortcuts and everything in
Oh
Notion
my gosh,
with Notion AI. It wrote out my whole note
yeah,
set.
yeah, absolutely. And that's what we need is we're starting to watch it. First, these AIs are gonna export and hold the door at all of these like major service providers, Google, Bing, Notion, Canva, Photoshop. These things are all gonna be like the first times that most of us probably actually work with AI. But then
Yeah.
you'll be able to take it that step further and get like custom ones, individualized, because the like even with the Spark right now inside the Discord, it's targeted to a white paper essentially. So you give it a 2,000 word document, and so I pulled the GMI summary yesterday and word counted it, and it was like 250 words. So what did I do? I took that summary to Chat GPT and said, "Hey, would you expand this closer to 2,000 words for me?" And it did a lovely job. And I was like, this is good. So I took that and plugged that into the white paper. So then the SparkBot has a better sense. And it'll work right now. If you go into the Spark test and you ask it anything about GMI or Aavegotchi, it should have a pretty good sense of response. But I also discovered that you could like sidestep it and totally not ask it about GMI or Aavegotchi and kind of tap into its more core GPT roots. And it's just as intelligent there. I felt like I had a private session with Chat GPT because it's the same engine. They're all using this same core um, large language model.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder how intelligent the core language model is getting at this point with so many little private instances running. It's actually mind blowing at the pace at which this thing is actually gaining a real intelligence.
Well, I cracked up the other day. You were mentioning that one company. By the time I looked them up and said, "Oh, they're done. They're closed." Just like, oh, okay. Well, 6 days ago, these guys were a startup in the AI tech sector. Now they've been made obsolete. But I was thinking of, as I was telling Smokescreens, there is this opportunity I see. I don't know if I'm getting overly enthusiastic. See what you think here. So, like here in my local region in Southwest Utah, it's relatively modern, relatively tech savvy, but there aren't like any skyscrapers in town. The town size is like 120,000. It's a little bit fancy because we're about 2 hours from Vegas, but it's not. There are trailer parks right in the middle of downtown. It's kind of this mix of posh and legacy. And I personally feel, I was talking to him about it last night. I personally feel like there are not many tech consulting firms currently based in this region that are also attuned to AI at potentially the same depth that some of us are.
Oh yeah, Google. So companies like Google and Amazon are already looking for prompt engineers paying up to 300,000 USD a year. Crazy.
That's crazy. That's crazy, actually. What is it? So I was so Smokescreens is a service writer at a dealership, and I was explaining to him how the virtual assistants work, and it's because it would be like for him it would be like having seven subordinates because a lot of his job is like service processing. So it's calling this customer back, calling that customer, texting this customer with an update, asking this customer through a UI platform yes or no approval on that repair. Calling this tire claim and following this. A lot of it's clerical stuff, but there's just a lot of volume. And so something like this tool suite would be for him to be able to just like verbally dictate, hey, send this out to Mr. Bronson. Hey, send this out to Mr. Smith. Hey, send this out to Miss Pinkett. Hey, send this out. Hey, do this. Hey, do that. If he could just verbally dictate his workday, like the smile that crossed across his face was like motherfucker. Like that would be amazing.
I think it's going to accelerate the development of gaming. I'm so excited for Pixelcraft because what this is going to do for them is allow for them to take their group of 40, 50, 60, whatever amount of employees they have and maximize their capabilities so that each one is doing the work of like 3 or 4 people, but not
Mm-hmm.
feeling that extra workload. I'll give you an example. We're talking about lore development in the Gotchiverse. I was experimenting with an AI tool, and I spent almost 4 hours yesterday to look for the tool again. I was searching through my history because I can't find it anymore because I'm like drowning in AI tools right now, and I can't find the damn tool. But what it was is it was an NPC builder. So you tell it the world that the NPC is going to live in, what it should behave like, what it should do, how it should talk. And this thing will render you a full NPC with animations and a language and a storyline and like already predetermined dialogues, and it just gives spits one out for you. So
The life
imagine you had
builder.
that for your Aavegotchi. You put your Aavegotchi in, you're like, all right, my Aavegotchi, based on its traits, it's going to behave like this, it's going to talk like this because it's creepy, it's going to be super energetic, and it's going to behave like these trait sets. And then you would go deploy it in the Gotchiverse, and it would be like your AI co-pilot Gotchibot that would behave like its traits. Like
It's gonna
how,
happen for sure.
yeah, I think sooner than we think, honestly.
Well, and like you're experimenting with the Blender imports and stuff, I think that's like right on the money. It's the same thing I was telling yesterday, and I think I used this term with you, and I'm starting. This is how I'm starting to see it. Is what we're gonna see for a little bit here. Is this? I don't know how long it's gonna last, but this is gonna be like it's already occurring. I met people 8 months ago that were playing with these tools, and we're creating the era of like the superhuman. For this short while, there's going to be human beings whose productivities and effectiveness is going to just like skyrocket.
Yeah.
They're gonna leave others behind, and it's gonna be because within their lives they use AI management of scheduling, of meeting planning, of prioritization, of actual content creation. Like there's gonna be people who are like, wait, you write your emails? What is wrong with you? Why are you writing your own emails manually? That's crazy. Like you're wasting all your time. And it's gonna be like people who still write calligraphy hand letters and lick the stamp and mail them out. It's like that works, I guess, but geez, man,
So what are
like
some
that is
other
just not the
examples?
case.
Like I feel like we've been in this point in history, just not in our lifetimes, and so maybe our parents or grandparents have experienced this. But what is some instance that we could think of like that where things were just replaced so fast that people actually got left behind, and they were now consumers of AI.
My my wife tells me a story all the time about her grandparents who were kind, like modest old people in their later lives, and were just proper churchgoers and just typical Oklahoma Southern Christians. But they were the ones tasked. They were pretty academic, and they were tasked with the production of the church newsletter. And this strange juxtaposition of technology was occurring where they were spending like all week in their house on a typewriter writing this newsletter, and finally being happy with a copy and going to print with it, and then taking it to the church, and the church was literally having to retype it back into a word processor so they could send it out via email because of the modern times.
Oh God, that's
Mm-hmm.
painful.
It is, and so I think that's the last era is kind of the introduction of the standard internet as we know it. There are people who are just like, or even PC computers, like portable computing, in-house computing. Those that were just like, I'm not going to do that thing, basically kept their horse in the stable and didn't buy the motorized buggies. And those individuals, like even today, you can ride your horse, but it's not like competitively efficient. Just because
Oh
it still
man.
functions doesn't mean that it's competitively efficient. And so those trying to commute to work and back today via horseback have some severe disadvantages over those who are using the 2020 Toyota Camry.
The costs of doing that are so high too with AI. Because like, look at this. T-Bird and a group of us were talking about the Ghost ship yesterday. We were talking about the sale, and this came up. This AI tool Gamma that I've been experimenting with. I took his proposal. I didn't do a damn thing to it, and I just dumped it into Gamma. And I'm like, make me a presentation of this. and this is what it came up with. Am I sharing it on the screen?
You don't
Here.
have your Discord share screen on, but you could.
No, here. I just switched it around. I'll give it a minute. Give it a second here. It should pop up. It's the Aavegotchi sailing for Ghost Ship with T-Bird .eth. It just made a whole presentation out of this. You know.
Well, and like instantaneous.
I mean, it's not
Go
completely.
back up to the very top. Just go back to the top so I can get the header thing. That's so impressive. Is this in like beta access, or is this just free trial, or what's the deal with Gamma?
I'll drop you guys the link. It's gamma.app actually. If you just go gamma.app, it should take you there.
I was pretty impressed with this, man. I felt like I walked into that meeting late. Thrax and T-Bird were already pretty actively engaged in crafting the document, which was necessary because that was your feedstock. And so the humans did have to create the concept outline, but it turns out you don't have to go much further than that. You could write most of your stuff as prompts. You can write most of your stuff as outline, and then just feed the machine and let it do its part. So when I walked in, I was watching them just work, and it looked like a typical committee work session, right? It looked like a typical proposal jam session. And you stepped up and you were just like, hang on, guys, I got a solution here. Watch this trick. And it felt like in 1 minute you solved what typically would take 30 to an hour's worth of time for a small group to ideate and proofread.
Yeah, right. It was really taking. It was like an industrial moment. There was a moment of industrial progression. You know. I mean, so the next thing I'm curious about here with AI is actually front end page builders. And so people that build front ends, now have this like crazy AI tool to build out. And I see we got Addison in the building here. And you are a front end designer. You do UI work. I don't know if you want to speak to that, but I'm curious if you've been using any of these AI tools to, for the stuff you're doing, if you're still designing web pages and stuff.
Well, man, yeah, he hit a sore spot.
Oops, sorry, yeah.
Okay.
I am. I mean, I've used ChatGPT a little bit, just to like have some like basic code, but I haven't used it that much yet. Still getting my AI legs under me,
Nice.
so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm in that same boat right there. He's got me inspired enough to realize I'm behind the ball there. So I think we can catch up relatively quick in terms of what's happening. That's the neat thing, is I think that the more people that use this stuff, the more widespread it's becoming, actually, like not getting cornered too aggressively.
Yeah, it's like almost like it's worth almost taking a week off of your life, like just put everything off for like a week and just spend that week just looking at AI stuff. That'll make your life better. Like there's so many tools. I recommend you guys check out AI Cyclopedia. It has like over 1,000. I think there are over 2,000 AI tools now, and they're all categorized. You can go through and find things you like and test things out, and it's been a good like base platform for me to start exploring. But there's a lot. There's like specific people, if you follow them on Twitter, newsletters. I think it's good to spend like a week of your time because, even though you'd be putting things off for a week, you just 10x like how much you can do with your current time. And so to me, that trade-off was kind of worth it. And
I might take you up on that
Have
offer.
like 18 monitors and said he was running 10 remote jobs with AI. Insane.
Oh my
that's
gosh.
yeah, that was
Yeah.
crazy, dude. I feel
He's like,
that...
AI's not taking my job.
Yeah, but I mean, there's going to be two kinds of people. There are going to be those maximizers who can now do the work of 10 people. And then there's going to be the people that get apathetic and upset that their job's about to get replaced. And there's going to be
We
this like...
all know this tale. We've
Yeah.
all heard this story. We've been hearing this coming for 10, 15, 20 years almost. Attention. And so it's here. It's occurring. We're going to watch.
Don't be replaced, kids.
Exactly. Don't be one of the 10 that gets let go, replaced by the one shepherd and the 10 robots. Like,
Yeah.
start mastering your AI interaction skills. That is definitely the vibe I'm feeling right now based on yesterday and today. It's got me fired up.
Yeah, I don't think like super creative people like are going to be replaced anytime soon. People that are able to see the connections between stuff, be able to use this technology to 10x their 10x or 100x their work. I mean, yeah, definitely what you were saying. Like the people, there's two types of people: the people that are going to use it and adapt, and then the people that are just going to get upset that they can't, that AI can do everything, and then they're going to end up doing nothing because they're too upset. Just got to move forward and adapt and use it.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking to creativity, it's gonna do two things for creators: the beginners like myself, who are junior artists and junior musicians, and just starting on their journeys creatively. It's gonna really flatten that learning curve. I was using Blender the other day, and I've never used Blender in my life. I've never even done a Blender tutorial in my life, and I was creating 3D models in Blender by just telling ChatGPT, roughly what it should build. And the skill I was actually learning was not how to use Blender, but I was learning how to talk to ChatGPT in a way that it would take my prompts and actually manifest it into Blender the way I wanted to. And so that was
Yeah, the
this.
big thing with AI is going to be asking the questions, how to properly ask the
Yes.
questions to get the right answers. That's going to be the big skill with AI.
You got to be able to speak things into existence, right? I mean, that's the thing. Um, and that's the skill, in my opinion. So, yeah, there's a lot to experiment with out there, and I think AI is gonna be really interesting. It's gonna do a lot of good things for creators, people like myself. It flattens the learning curve, and people that are already really talented, I think they're gonna really just excel at what they're doing. We're gonna see shit that we've never seen before.
Well, this is the same kind of enthusiasm I'm recognizing like from Louisa and the team at Community One and Spark and Quest GPT, right? I think they've already been bit by this bug
Yep.
personally. They're just like, okay, we get it, and so they're bullishly trying to build a business model to introduce more people to this technology to say you need to try this. It's going to improve you. It's going to change your life. What can we do to get you into our tool suite so you can recognize potential that you're missing? And I think they're right. I really think that these AI evangelicals are going to suddenly become pretty important business model. People who understand these tools and can show up in front of you and be like, okay, what do you do? Explain to me what you do, and I'm going to explain to you why AI is going to make your life better.
Yeah, absolutely. Here's one that I found just before this call. Actually, it's called Blinkist. And so, a lot of us are cramped for time, but we want to read books, right? Like I love reading books. What this is basically like a quick book reader summarizer. So it can give you like the context of a whole book in like 15 minutes. And
It's
so
like
then
this AI Spark Notes.
kind of, yeah,
That's
but
crazy.
yeah. So it's like,
Yeah,
hey, you want to read this
that's
book?
cool.
You can get the full context of every chapter of this book in 15 minutes. And you can get it in audio format too, so you can just listen to it in 15 minutes.
That's pretty. I would be
You just
willing to
think about the
try
stuff
that.
for education, right? Like, I
Yeah.
Yep.
mean, school kids are just going to be using AI to read their books and write their essays. Like, are they actually going to learn anything? I think they're going to learn more how to ask questions, which honestly might be better than what they're teaching in school. But I don't know, like actually being able to read a book versus and write a paper, like I think those are necessary skill sets. But
Yeah,
I
I
don't
was
know,
just
they
gonna
might be going
chime
out the
in.
window.
I was gonna chime in like running an AI is not gonna build neural connections like reading a book or writing. So it's like, yeah, it's gonna be a helpful tool like a calculator is, but it doesn't make you inherently better at math. Like your brain still doesn't understand math just because you can use a calculator. Like if you can't process that information, I think that's where the loss is potentially. But
Mm-hmm.
as a tool, it's like anything else. Like I think of we're talking about AI, and it makes me laugh because I think of Logic Pro. In Logic Pro, there are synthesizers that have brains in them that will basically based on music theory because it's an AI that knows music theory essentially. It can make chords and make stuff that's supposed to sound good.
But
Just
as
because it works together
like
doesn't mean it actually is good.
talking about AI, and it makes me laugh because I think of Logic Pro. In Logic Pro, there are just a little loop back there. Got it. Yeah, no, that's exactly correct.
No, that's a good point, and I think no future. You make a good point actually, because I think the downside of all this, we're talking about all the positives, right? But the downside is like this idiocracy situation where you actually get people who, are able to be proficient with AI, but you take away their tools and now they're like cavemen. They've lost the capacity to rely on themselves, to do those calculations, even if they're the most basic.
It's like being without our
calculations.
phones today. Like, what are we supposed
yeah.
to
Well, I
do?
Yo,
imagine we're
I've
going to see a decline in bilingualism and multilingualism, right? As the technology gets better, less people will go through the struggle of actually mentally learning a new language. It's just the Battlefish app.
we see it now though. Like as a kid growing up, I had to memorize everybody's phone number. Like I had to have a 10-digit phone number for each person that I met, and that is like a little bit of a mental lift. It does work on our memory, right? Once we got cell phones, I don't remember anybody's phone number. If I lose my cell phone or if it's off, I'm fucked. I can't contact anybody except for the emergency phone number, which we all know. Which is kind of like what Hefe's saying. It's almost like a push towards dumbing everything down. And that's good, but the worry is that that inherently, this is where we get into the Terminator shit. We're inherently allowing ourselves to become dodos because there's no like real
Skynet's inevitable.
yeah, we're getting fat and cushy because we're outsourcing thinking. Like, and that's horrible
Oh,
because
100%.
our
correct.
evolution starts with our brain, I think, like in this world, or at least on this planet. Our brain has allowed us to continue to evolve and stay the apex. So if we stop allowing our brains that evolution, that growth, by, subsidizing it with other tools, then we run the risk of becoming the dodo.
I think that's almost inevitable. Yeah, like the automatic transmission introduced many more people to driving, but it did not make better drivers. So
Oh, 100%.
this is like the path. This is the path to mass adoption, but mass adoption also doesn't mean like mass competence.
I think it's the problem is when people start using a tool as the first tool instead of when they need it. So like,
Sure, the dependency.
like don't pull a tool out of your toolbox if you don't need it. Start on the job, and then when you run into something, you run into a limitation, and you say, "Oh, this is too hard for me." Then you pull out the tool that makes it easy on you. But if you don't like push yourself to that very limit of your own capability, then you actually don't even know how to use the tool effectively.
That sounds like the route to the Mount of Parnassus. Yeah, people are always gonna enjoy that easier solution. That easy button is enticing.
Yeah, I know. I see. We got Boba in here. I know Boba. We were talking about AI the other day, and you are a technologist like a lot of us, and you've been experimenting deeply with AI systems and making your own. Actually, shout out to you because you helped me find Chatbot Kit, and that's what helped us build the GMI Oracle. So, yeah, I don't know if you want to speak to that, but I'd love to get your opinion on, what you're experiencing with AI, and do you think it's going to make us more capable humans, or do you think over time it's going to just kind of dumb us down and make us less, more reliant on that technology?
Hey guys,
Hey, yeah,
Hey,
how you doing? Well, it's a powerful tool. I think smart people are gonna get smarter, and maybe dodos are gonna get more dodo. But yeah, I've been playing with it with a chatbot kit. It's crazy. You just can feed it information about Aavegotchi and make it make calculations about channeling and kinship and voting and everything. It's super powerful. And I was talking to Hef about needing this for the Aavegotchi website, just like a chatbot that knows everything about Aavegotchi, so a newbie can come in and just start asking questions, and it's a good way to onboard people, I think.
yeah. It's an easy lift. Like, these things were implemented like so easily. It was kind of scary to see how easily you could spin one of these up and get it to start working for you.
I was just checking this website. I'm gonna put the link over here, which you just put an URL of a website, and you can chat with the website in a what do you say, with ChatGPT way, right?
Zip chat.
like
So,
the website
I just
into the
put
content
the-
target.
I just put the Aavegotchi Wiki website, and you can just start asking questions about Aavegotchi, and it takes the information from the wiki, right?
Wow, that's amazing. Another amazing tool. I mean, there you go. Like, look at that. Like, how
Well,
much time is
yeah,
that
this
going to
was
save you when
wild.
you're browsing, right? When you're looking for things.
Exactly. For example, today I was voting in the snapshot, so I was copying the proposals, giving it to ChatGPT, and asking, "What is this proposal about?" Right, and just gives me the the most important information about what the proposal is about, and then I can make a decision, right? And not reading all the proposal, for example.
Yeah. Wow, that's amazing. And that actually is a good segue into, we're kind of wrapping up here pretty soon, but I wanted to quickly remind everybody that in about an hour, we're going to be getting the folks from Dowlands coming into the Aavegotchi Amphitheater in the Discord there. And I'll be hosting a call where they're going to take us through Dowlands and what this AI powered DAO manager can do. And, how it can help us with our governance, our proposals, treasury management, all this kind of, all these kind of things that are integral to the DAO, and it might actually put the A in autonomous for us. And so I was pretty fascinated by their walkthrough the other day, and I think it's going to be a really great conversation. So yeah, keep an eye out for that. That's in about 1 hour from now. So yeah, we'll
Where's
do
that happening?
in the Aavegotchi Amphitheater.
Cool.
Yeah, so in
Awesome.
the Aavegotchi Amphitheater.
Right on, man. I think we're at a good natural stopping point. Yesterday ran real long. I enjoyed yesterday a lot. It was really cool listening to the guys on their brainstorming session there too. But let's keep today nice and tight.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is a good point to end off. This was GM with GMI. We covered a whole lot of topics today. We're really getting into the AI. We've got the bug, and we'll continue exploring options and, of course, hanging out in the Gotchiverse. We will see you, friends, tomorrow morning for GM with GMI, and then we also have our Friday night block party kicking off the weekend. So keep an eye out for all those programs. We appreciate you joining GM with GMI. Follow us on Twitch. Follow us on Twitter. We always appreciate that. This is Hefe and GMI Frens. Peace out.